Hey everyone, welcome to Code Lessons. In this video, we will take a look on how to create a chatgpt AI Image Generator application in Android using openai. In this application, we will be simply specifying the query about the image which we have to generate, and then AI will generate an image based on that specific query. And then we will be displaying that image inside our image view. I have created a sample application. We will take a look at the output of it, and then we will proceed further for creating a new project in Android Studio. On my screen, we can get to see our application. Inside this, we have to simply specify the query for the image which we have to generate. So I will be specifying the query as sports car with driver, and then simply send this query to generate the image. It will take some time to generate an image. And we can get to see the car with a driver which the AI image has been generated. Similarly, we will be generating one more image. We can get to see the image has also been generated for this one. So in this way, we will be building a simple application which will use to generate the image using the OpenAI API. Now we will move towards creating a new project in Android Studio. Inside Android Studio, we have to simply navigate to the file, then new project. Then we have to select empty activity, then click on next, specify the project name. chatgpt Image Generator. Make sure to select the language as Kotlin and simply click on finish to create our new project. It will take some time to create a new project. Now our project has been created. So firstly, we will be updating the colors and changing the theme. For that, we have to navigate to the res. Then for changing the color to values and colors.xml, inside this we will be updating our colors. Similarly, we will be updating the other colors as well. After updating the colors, we have to change the theme. So we will be changing the theme from dark action bar to no action bar. Then after that, we will be navigating towards our activity underscore main.xml for creating the UI. So firstly, we will be removing this text view. Instead of this, we will be changing the constraint layout to relative layout. Inside this relative layout, we will be creating a toolbar. Inside this toolbar, specifying the width as match parent, height as wrap content, ID as toolbar. Then we will be specifying the background for it. Inside this toolbar, we will be creating a text view for displaying the title for our toolbar, specifying width as match parent, height as wrap content, then text size as 20 sp. Then after we will be specifying the text as chatgpt, then adding the text all caps as false, text alignment as center. After that, specifying the text color as white, then specifying the text style as bold. After creating this toolbar, we will be creating the UI. So for that, after this toolbar, we will be creating a relative layout. Inside this relative layout, specifying the width as match parent, height as match parent, ID will be specifying it as ID no data layout. So this layout we are creating for displaying our heading of our application and a subheading. And after that, we will be calling center in parent to true. Then visibility, we will be initially defining its visibility as visible. Inside this relative layout, we will be creating a text view, specifying its width as match parent, height as wrap content, ID as IDTV heading. Then we will be specifying center in parent to true, adding margin start as 10 dp, margin end also as 10 dp, margin top as 10, and similarly margin bottom also as 10 dp. After that we will be adding the padding from all sides as 5 dp, then adding the text as chatgpt AI Image Generator, then specifying the text alignment to center, text color as black, then specifying the text size as 20 sp, and lastly specifying the text style as bold. After creating this text view, we will be creating one more text view for subheading, specifying width as match parent, height as wrap content, id as idtv subheading, then aligning it below to our heading, after that specifying margin from all sides as 10 dp, then specifying the padding for it as 5 dp, text as enter your query to generate image, aligning the text to center, text color as black, after that we will be creating a progress bar, specifying width as wrap content, height also as wrap content, id as idpb loading. Initially we will be specifying the visibility for our progress bar as gone and aligning it below to our subheading. After that we will be creating a one more relative layout inside which we will be displaying our actual data. So for this, specifying width as match parent, height also as wrap content, specifying its id as idrl data, then aligning its center in parent to true, and then specifying its visibility as visible. Initially we will be setting its visibility to gone, but for designing it we are setting it to visible. Inside this we will be specifying the image view, inside which we will be displaying the generated image from the AI, specifying the width and height as 300 dp, specifying id for our image view as idIV image, then aligning center horizontal to true. After that specifying margin left as 10 dp, margin right as 10 dp, margin bottom as 10 dp, then margin top as 100 dp. After that specifying its initial visibility to visible. After creating this image view, we will be creating a card view inside which we will be displaying the text. So here specifying the width as match parent, height as wrap content, id as idcv card view, that is card, then aligning it below to our image view. After that specifying the center horizontal to true, then specifying margin from all sides as 10 dp, initially setting its visibility to visible, then specifying the card background color, after that specifying the card corner radius to 12 dp, then specifying the card elevation as 0 dp. After that we will be adding card prevent overlap to false, and then specifying card use padding to true. Inside this card view we will be creating the text view inside which we will be displaying the query which is asked by the user. Here specifying the width as match parent, height as wrap content, id as idtv query, then specifying the padding from all sides as 6 dp. After that specifying the text as query will appear here, text alignment to center, text color to white, and then specifying the text size as 16 sp. Now here we can get to see our card view has been created. After that we will be changing the visibility for this relative layout to gone, and we'll be changing it based on our requirement. So instead of visibility of image view, we have to change the visibility for our relative layout to gone. Now after creating this, we have to create a text input layout inside which user can ask their queries. So for that we will be creating a text input layout. Inside this, specifying the width as match parent, height as wrap content, id as edtil query. Then specifying align parent bottom to true. After that, specifying margin from all sides as 5 dp. Hint as enter your query. Then adding padding from all sides as 5 dp. Text color hint as white. Instead of white, we will be specifying it as black. Then specifying the text color also as black. Inside this text input layout, we will be creating a text input edit text. Inside this edit text, we will be specifying width as match parent, height also as match parent, id as id query. Then we will be specifying the drawable end. So we will be creating the drawable end for this. Then drawable tint to give the color for our drawable. Then we will be specifying the EMS to 10. IME options to action send. Then import autofill hints to no. After that, we will be specifying the input type to text. Then specifying the text color hint as black. Then text color also as black. And lastly, specifying the text size to 14 sp. Now here we have to add the drawable end. So for that, navigate to drawable, right click, new vector asset. Inside this, add the icon to send. IC send. Here we will be adding our icon, that is send icon, and our text input layout has been added. Along with that, we have to add the custom style here. So for that, we will be adding the style, and for that we will be creating a style. For that, we have to navigate to themes. Inside this, below this style, we will be creating a style, specifying the name for it as text input layout theme. Specifying the parent for it by calling simply widget outline box dense. Inside this text input layout, we will be adding the item. So first item, we will be adding it as a box stroke color and specifying the color for it 296 D98. After that, we will be adding box stroke width, and here we will be adding the width as 1 dp. Now using this text input layout theme for our text input layout to add it here. So now our UI part has been completed. Now we will be navigating towards our main activity.kotlin file. So first, inside this, for initializing variables and adding the click listeners for the actions. So first we will be creating the variable for the URL through which we will be making the API call. So for generating the image, we will be using this APIs. Along with that, we will be using Wally and Picasso library. So for that, we have to navigate to our build.gradle and add the dependencies for using Wally and Picasso. Inside the build.gradle file, we have to navigate to module level build.gradle file, and inside that we have to add the dependencies. So we have to navigate to the dependencies section at the bottom and here we have to add the dependency for volley. Along with that, we have to add the dependency for using the Picasso, as we are loading the images from the URL, so we will be using Picasso as a dependency. After that, we have to simply click on sync now to install these dependencies. We can change the version as well. Now our dependencies has been installed. After that, we have to navigate to our main active.kotlin file. Inside this, after creating the URL, we have to create the variables. So firstly, we'll be creating the variable for our query text view, that is our query TV as a text view. Then creating the variable for our image view as a image view. After that, we'll be creating the variable for our query edit text, that is text input edit text. Then we will be creating the variable for our loading progress bar. After that, we will be creating the variable for our node data relative layout. Then we will be creating the variable for our data relative layout. Then we will be initializing all the variables with their IDs. So firstly, query TV by calling simply find view by ID TV query. Similarly, creating the variable for image view and initializing it, ID image. Then query edit text, ID edit query. Similarly, loading progress bar, ID PB loading, and then node data relative layout and data relative layout, ID RL node data layout, ID RL data. Now we have created and initialized all the variables. After that, we have to add call query edit dot set on editor action listener. Inside this, we have to specify the action. So for that, inside this, we have to navigate to the create a if condition. Inside this, we will be specifying if action ID, that is our I, is equal to editor info dot IME action send, as we have specified the action inside our text input edit text as send. In that case, we will be checking if query input, that is if query edit text dot to string dot is not empty. In that case, we will be simply calling query, setting that data to our query text view by calling simply query tv.text equal to query edt.text dot to string. Then we will be creating a get response method which will return us the response. Inside this, we will be specifying our query edt.text dot to string. In the else condition, we will be simply displaying a toast message specifying the application context. Please enter your query toast.lenshot.show. After that, we will be simply calling return @set edit action listener to true, and lastly returning as false. Now we will be creating a get response method which will provide the response from the API. So we will be creating a function for it by calling simply private function get response. Inside this, creating a query as string. Inside this method, we will be simply calling query edit text and setting it to empty. Then we will be calling simply loading progress bar dot visibility as view dot visible. Here we have to simply call dot set text. After this loading progress bar, we will be creating a variable for a queue as a request queue and initializing it by calling simply volley dot new request queue. Inside this, specifying the application context. After that, we will be creating a variable for our JSON object as JSON object and initializing our JSON object with an empty object. Then we will be simply passing data to our JSON object by simply calling .put method. Inside this, we will be firstly specifying the parameter as a prompt, which is the query which we will be using to generate the image. Then we will be again calling JSON object. After that, we will be adding the one more parameter as n, which is 1. Then we will be adding one more parameter to our JSON object as size for the image which we have to display. So here we have to specify the size. We will be specifying the size as 256 into 256. Then we will be creating a variable for our post request and making it as a JSON object request and initializing it by simply calling object JSON object request. Inside this JSON object request, we will be specifying the method as we are passing the data. So we will be calling a post request, then specifying the URL on which we have to hit this request and passing the JSON object. Then we will be simply calling response dot listener. Inside this listener, we will be simply calling response. Inside this response, we will be firstly changing the no data relative layout visibility to view.gone. Then we will be simply calling data relative layout visibility, changing its visibility to view.visible. After that, we will be simply creating a variable for our image URL as a string, and we will be getting it from our response. So for getting it, we will be simply calling response.getJSONArray. So but before adding this, we will be adding the error listener for our method as well. After adding this, we will be adding error listener by calling simply response dot error listener. Inside this, we will be handling the error. So here we will be displaying the toast message, specifying the application context. We will do generate image toast.lengthshot.show to generate our image. After that, we will be adding the headers which are used to return the headers. Inside this, we will be creating as params as a mutable map. Inside this, we will be specifying the key and value as string. And initializing a hash map for it. After that, we will be specifying the params. So for params, we will be firstly specifying first param as a content type, which will be our application / JSON. Then we will be adding one more param for it as authorization. Inside this, we have to specify the token. So we will take a look at how to generate the token, and then simply we have to return these params as a headers. Here we have to specify the param as content type. So for generating the token, we have to simply navigate to the browser and then simply go to this link, that is platform.openai.com, and sign up with your Google account or any account or create one. Then we have to simply navigate to the account and go to this manage or view API section. Inside this, you can get to see your secret key, or for generating your secret key, we have to simply click on create a new secret key and your secret key will be generated. We can use this secret key inside our application. So for adding it, we will be simply bearer, and then here we have to add our secret key. So I am currently adding it as a sample one, then I will be changing it later on. Then we have to make this request. So for that, we will be calling simply post request dot set retry policy. Inside this, we will be calling object, and then we will be simply calling retry policy. Inside this retry policy, we will be calling get current retry count or current retry timeout. Inside this we will be returning the timeout as 50,000 milliseconds. Similarly, we will be creating one more method as getCurrent retry timeout. Then we will be calling a retry method which is used to make a retry inside this. This method will be making the retries. After that, we have to simply call queue dot add our request to our post request. So we will be adding this request to our queue. Now after that, we have already called this get response method. Now our coding part has been completed. Now we have to add the permissions inside our manifest.xml file for accessing the internet. So we'll be calling simply uses permission and specifying the permission for internet. Similarly, specifying the permission for access network state. Now I have to add this key here. So now we have also added the key. Now we can simply run our application to see the output of our application. Now our app has been built. We can take a look at the output of our application. So I will simply type the query here and click on send. It will take some time to load the image. And here we can get to see sports car inside our image. Similarly, we can type for a sports bike and then click on send. It will take some time to load the image. And we can get to see the image for our bike. So in this way we have created a simple chatgpt image generator application inside our using the openai APIs. Thanks for watching this video. If you are having any doubts, feel free to ask them in the comment section.